So, one way that we can manage stress, anxiety, maybe even try to make a little more sense of what doesn't make sense some days, many days as a caregiver, is through literature. And there is a growing body of research that reading poetry and being read to can reduce stress, it can reduce anxiety. And so I'm just gonna read a little bit about that, and then I'm gonna do some poetry readings for you. So there's research that shows reading for pleasure and being read to can reduce stress and anxiety. It can refocus our minds and help us see different points of view. Poetry and literature can also help us feel like we're not alone in our feelings and our experiences. If you're interested in reading poetry, you can Google poems about managing stress, or poems to manage anger, poems about love or hope. The poems I'm going to read today are poems about hope. If I Were Loved as I Desire to Be by Alfred Lord Tennyson. If I were loved as I desire to be, what is there in the great sphere of the earth and range of evil between death and birth that I should fear? If I were loved by thee. All the inner, all the outer world of pain, clear love would pierce and cleave if thou wert mine. As I have heard that, somewhere in the main, fresh water springs come up through bitter brine. 'Twere joy, not fear, clasped hand in hand with thee, to wait for death, mute, careless of all ills, apart upon a mountain, though the surge of some new deluge from 1,000 hills flung leagues of roaring foam into the gorge below us, as far on as eye could see. Hope is the thing with feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. The Song of Wandering Aengus by W.B. Yates. I went out to the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame, but something rustled on the floor, and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name and ran and faded through the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, I will find out where she has gone, and kiss her lips and take her hands, and walk among long dappled grass, and pluck till time and times are done, the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. A Center by Ha Jin. You must hold your quiet center, where you do what only you can do. If others call you a maniac or a fool, just let them wag their tongues. If some praise your perseverance, don't feel too happy about it. Only solitude is a lasting friend. You must hold your distant center. Don't move, even if earth and heaven quake. If others think you are insignificant, that's because you haven't held on long enough. As long as you stay put, year after year, eventually you will find a world beginning to revolve around you. Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model, born in Babylon, both non-white and woman. What did I see to be except myself? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed.